Jeremy Weber of Koppert Biologicals. And Jeremy, I was just wondering if you could just first tell me about yourself.
I, in a nutshell, sell bugs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a consultant for greenhouses. I help them use the concepts of IPM more appropriately and sort of accomplish their pest management goals, which that varies from organization to organization, but typically using biological pest controls.
Okay, and can you tell me about innovations Koppert has done in the way of biological crop protection and natural pollination?
Well, as far as crop protection using biologicals, we, as far as I'm aware, we more or less invented the industry. We're the first people to really commercialize it and go after it. And we've innovated a number of the practices, the majority as far as I'm aware of, on how the bios are actually made. And then the way that we actually bring the products to market is unique in the industry as well. We don't typically go through distribution. We deal direct with our client base here in the U.S. and that helps a great deal because there's a very steep learning curve using these products, and most people who buy them simply from a distributor with limited input on how to use them end up failing. Yeah. And if they do succeed, it's typically there's some luck involved with that too. So we try to limit that. We try to work hands-on with our accounts, and I think that's probably the single greatest thing that we do.
Okay, and how's your time at Trident prepared you for the horticulture industry?
Trident gave me a lot, and I didn't see it at the time when I was here, but ultimately any education you get out what you put into it, and yeah. I put in a lot. I had a good job that allowed me to experiment with stuff that I learned in class and take that to work the next day and apply it there, but it more taught me how to think about things and how to be prepared for different opportunities as they'll present themselves later on than it actually said, all right, you need to know idea A to apply in situation A. It really just sort of helped me learn how to think and how to adapt to new scenarios.
So it was less about the education and more about just the life experience you gained from being there.
Well, obviously the education's part of it, but yeah, for sure. It's not just, for instance, I mean, what I learned at the time about what I'm doing now was very limited. Most people didn't know a whole lot about it to begin with in the first place. Yeah. So it did give me a good background in pesticides, which I was able to translate into this. But in this industry especially, I don't know about others because I've never worked in another one, but you never stop learning. You learn constantly, and you're constantly humbled because plants find new ways, creative ways to kill themselves, especially if you're trying to sell them. And it's something you're always having to learn and always adapt to new things, and this helped set that foundation for me.
Okay, and what role do you think biologicals will play in the future of pest management?
I think they're going to be the cornerstone to it. As less and less products are available to spray for pests, then we need some sort of a check on resistance management. So as populations quickly develop resistance, in a lot of cases to a limited number of products, that through legislation or just no new ones on the market, that list of products that we can apply for a given pest is getting smaller. So bios give us the option of mitigating the resistance to those small handful of compounds that we have, and keeping those fresh and working consistently every day the exact same way year to year to year to year. That's huge. That gives our growers a tool that is repeatable, that they can use the same way in 5 or 10 years as they are using right now, which currently, if they're just using pesticides, they're getting worse year to year to year. And that practice is getting more and more difficult. So this is obviously a huge advantage.
Okay, so you definitely see biologicals as a way as something that will completely phase out pesticides?
No, certainly not. I mean, I think it could. They certainly have that capability to, but from a cost standpoint, it's much more effective for a grower typically to use a little bit of both. And the bios keep the pesticides fresh. They mitigate the resistance buildup. So we personally, it all depends on the crop and it all depends on the scenario, but I like a mixture of both. It keeps the cost low and it keeps the performance of the program very high.
Okay, and finally, what advice do you have for people who wish to have a career in the horticulture industry?
Go to school. Definitely go to school. That helps greatly. And honestly, our industry is, don't get me wrong, you go into greenhouses, everybody has a degree. Not necessarily the case in other fields in hort, where, you know, there is the mentality that, hey, I've been taking care of my garden for 5 years, I can do this for a living.
Yeah.
And while you can still make a successful living earning that, you might not have some of the foundation. You only have to ride around here and look at 18 million crepe myrtles that are completely destroyed, and that sort of drives that point home. That's ridiculous. And you know, that's why, yeah, granted, you don't have to go to school to learn how to not kill a tree, but it's that's a good example, I think. You know, and there's a lot of things that you need to know that are a lot more in depth than what you're going to learn hands-on or on the internet.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a given. And I mean, the greatest part about South Carolina's tech school program is that you can make more money after you graduate than you spent in all of your semesters put together.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to go spend 45 grand for a degree and go out and start at 30.
Yeah.
You know, you can almost write a check every semester and get out and make good money. It's a good value.
Yeah.
The return on investment is high.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy, I'd like to thank you again for giving me a delightful interview.
Thank you. Good luck.
You too.